COSO ERM. COSO, or Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Tradeway Commission. Please take note of the copyright of COSO material. According to the bio provided by COSO itself, it was formed in 1985 as a joint initiative of 5 private sector organizations and is dedicated to providing thought leadership through the development of frameworks and guidance on enterprise risk management, ERM, internal control, and fraud deterrence. COSO's supporting organizations are the American Accounting Association, AAA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, AICPA, Financial Executives International, FEI, the Institute of Management Accountants, IMA, and the Institute of Internal Auditors, IIA. COSO is very relevant to all internal audit activities and areas. But in part 1, we will be focusing on 2 of its most commonly known frameworks or standards. First is related to the risk management, enterprise risk management integrated framework. Second, in relation to control, internal control integrated framework. We will first look at the COSO ERM, and in the last part of domain 5, we will discuss internal control framework as well. As opposed to ISO's 9 years, COSO took 14 years to revise its ERM framework. In its own words, the 2017 update to the Enterprise Risk Management Integrated Framework, which changed its name to Enterprise Risk Management, Integrating with Strategy and Performance, addresses the evolution of enterprise risk management and the need for organizations to improve their approach to managing risk to meet the demands of an evolving business environment. The update highlights the importance of considering risk in both the strategy setting process and in driving performance. We don't need to go deep in the previous version, but the key difference that we need to understand is the emphasis of the updated version on integrating strategy and risk management. You will find many similarities in the 2 standards or frameworks as they try to address similar issues. However, for the rest of the course and upcoming courses of the CIA certification, we will mainly be discussing the COSO ERM for 3 main reasons. First and foremost, IIA is one of the 5 founding members of COSO. Second, control is a big part of the governance structure and plays a crucial role in the effective implementation of the risk management process, and the standard that we will discuss as part of the syllabus is the COSO Internal Control Integrated Framework. So it only makes sense to use COSO ERM for risk management. COSO ERM is more widely used than ISO 31000 according to the research from Gartner, especially in the US of A, where IIA is based. I think you got the point. Okay, now let's start. The updated framework consists of 5 components, with all of them interwoven in the fabric of organizational structure and processes, as you can see in the figure from the framework. Logically, it starts with governance and culture. We have already seen that governance is the bond which binds everything together. It sets the organization's tone, establishes oversight responsibilities for almost everything, including ERM. Culture refers to all the pertinent things we discussed in governance section of domain 5, like ethics and compliance, behaviors, and understanding of risk in the entity. Then we have strategy and objective setting. Enterprise risk management, strategy and objective setting work together in the strategic planning process and objective setting. Then we move to performance. Here we deal with risks that may impact the achievement of strategy and business objectives and which need to be identified and assessed. This is practically the risk management process part which an organization undertakes, and very comparable to ISO 31000 process part. Then comes the 4th component, review and revision. It is something which is constant and regular. Organizational performance as well as the performance of the ERM is continuously reviewed so an organization can consider how well the ERM components are functioning over time and in light of substantial changes and what revisions are needed. Final component, information, communication and reporting, which requires that ERM needs a continual process of obtaining and sharing necessary information from both internal and external sources, which flows up, down, and across the organizations. The 5 components are supported by a set of 20 principles. These principles cover everything from governance to monitoring. They are manageable in size and they describe practices that can be applied in different ways for different organizations, regardless of size, type, or sector. Adhering to these principles can provide management and the board with a reasonable expectation that the organization understands and strives to manage the risks associated with its strategy and business objectives. In addition to outlining the framework, COSO ERM also addresses some of the misconceptions about what risk management is. ERM is not a function or department. This is probably the most important concept to understand. There might be a function or department established such as risk management department or ERM department, etc. But it's not the sole responsibility of that department to manage risks which the organization faces. Management owns risk. I repeat, management owns risk. That means that although the risk management department will help, facilitate, and assist the management in its risk management duties, but eventually it's the management who are ultimately responsible for managing risk. For example, if Nosedive faces a risk of unhappy customers due to bad product quality, then it's the manufacturing department or function which needs to address and manage that risk and take appropriate measures to avoid quality issues. Risk management department can guide the manufacturing department how to go about the steps in the risk management process, but it's the manufacturing department who owns the outcomes or the results of this risk. Recall the definition of risk management from COSO ERM. The culture, capabilities, and practices integrated with strategy setting and performance that organizations rely on to manage risk in creating, preserving, and realizing value. Enterprise risk management is more than a risk listing. This refers to the practice of creating a list of identified risks that an organization faces. However, adequate risk management requires more than just creating a list or inventory of all the risks within the organization. It is much broader and should include controls and activities that management puts in place to actively manage those risks. Enterprise risk management addresses more than internal control. Again, against popular belief, it also addresses other topics such as strategy setting, governance, communicating with stakeholders, and measuring performance. Its principles apply at all levels of the organization and across all functions, as we have seen that it is interwoven into whatever an organization does. Enterprise risk management is not a checklist. This is not something you can just do like monthly, quarterly, or yearly financial statements. ERM needs to be embedded in every process and activity that an organization does. More on with examples later. It is a set of principles on which processes can be built or integrated for a particular organization, and it is a system of monitoring, learning, and improving performance. Enterprise risk management can be used by organizations of any size. As discussed before, if an organization has a mission, a strategy, and objectives, and the need to make decisions that fully consider risk, then enterprise risk management can be applied. It can and should be used by all kinds of organizations, from small businesses to community-based social enterprises to government agencies to big multinationals. We will delve deeper in COSO components and principles with the help of a case study to cover the organizational processes of Nosedive Incorporated. See you then.